So you build yourself a magnificent mill by the side of the river, and you need power to grind your corn. So what do? You dangle your water wheel in the river. Only problem is, rivers go up, rivers go down. So what do then? Well, you walk upstream to a suitable height above your mill and you dig yourself a leat. Water comes rushing down, dries your water wheel. Perfect. But now what if you got a little bit adventurous? What if we made the leat a little bit bigger? How about a lot bigger? Make it into a canal. Now we can get our goods right into the centre of town, and we can export our goods the same way. In actual fact, that's what they did at Tewkesbury. We'll take a look. Most people assume to be the River Avon. In actual fact, it's a canal or Leat, depending on your point of view. In fact, the Avon is under the next bridge along. So to start our story then, we need to get upriver. Pleasant enough walk to get there. Across the meadows. Crossing the occasional one of these. Quite extensive views from there, I would think. And with the farm next door. Or manor house probably, wouldn't it? Avon just over there at the edge of the field, meadow. Probably nearly high enough up the Avon now. Quite close to the river at this point. Somebody setting off. What's that big pole for if he's using his engine? Before roads and rail, or before decent roads and rail, waterways were the main means of transport. The only problem with using rivers is they do tend to go up and down depending on rainfall. So what do you do if you want a consistent height to either drive your water wheel or unload your goods? Well, you wander upriver like we've just done, pick the height you want, and dig into the bank. So we'll leave the Avon making its way up there, up to the north. Don't need to follow any farther now. Used to be Tewkesbury Sailing Club, now it's Tewkesbury Cruising and Sailing Club. So our story begins then with the engineers of the time digging into the riverbank at a height up the Avon and then directing their water down past their mills. It seemed a very good idea. So they opened it up and made it into a canal. Even better. Tewkesbury in that direction, and we'll see how they controlled the height of the river later. All very ingenious. Very tranquil this morning. Having said that, the whole area is quite peaceful and quiet this morning. just around the bend, and now in sight of the town. This is where they decided to break through the bank then. They would have calculated that this gave them enough water at the mean low water level so that they could keep their mills running the whole time. Then it was opened up to make a canal, and now it's been opened up again to make a marina. And with that, you imagine the businesses took off in Tewkesbury, a reliable transport link. Looking back towards the sailing club, a bit more traffic heading our way. Nice to see somebody obeying the speed limit. Closer to town now, and we're into the waterside properties. To give you some idea of scale, the bank in the distance before the buildings is the Canal bank. And then directly in front of us is the Avon. So you can see we've gained quite a bit of height already. Upstream in that direction, downstream, and it continues on through that magnificent structure, which you've guessed is a rail bridge. Hooray. So looking down through the arch, you can see the road bridge over the Avon. Beautiful blue brick bridge. It took the railway line from Ashchurch, the main line, to Great Malvern. We'll see a little bit more of the structure later on, but what a beautiful, beautiful bridge. After 200 years, it requires a little maintenance, but in truth, hardly any. The usual railway sleepers put to use here. So when the river floods, I suppose this prevents it from damaging the pathway. Well, it did. This is how they control the height in their Leat then. That's a variable height weir. So if there's flood water coming, drop that down and get rid of as much water as you can, I guess. And looking just beyond there, you can see the rail bridge across the structure. Returning to the bridge then, now we see it through different eyes. This isn't the river, this was a canal for commerce. These riverside dwellings would have been businesses. There you can see where the railway bridge went. I'm not sure that's the original, but the buttresses. Looks a bit lightweight, doesn't it? And looking on the town side of the bridge now, all the waterside properties would have been businesses. The closer you got to town, the more you paid, I guess. Right there you can make out the mill on the right and the office buildings on the left. Take a closer look in a minute. Just for reference, this is the Avon going south, standing on the road bridge. That's probably the best angle to get the mill on, I would think. So they would have been using the water from the Leat to drive their machinery. We'll continue our walk along the canal, Leat, going down this thing. Right, now before we get too far along here, we'll have another quick look at the bridge. To trade along here you'd have to get under there, of course, but they thought of that, so they put in a lock. Or you built the boat to suit the conditions. The lock.
Yes, I'm not used to a pocket and socket too.
The winding gear.
Thank you very much.
Mainly private dwellings along here now. It's almost impossible to date these walls and structures and things, I would think. Unless you have some records, but they didn't keep records then, did they? They just bought the land and built what they wanted. I like that metal staircase. Looks like it might have been here a day or two. The remains of the wall. Something has to be original. What about that wall there? Dog. That's a very old waterside property. Belonged to Mr. Shakespeare, who was a boat builder, would you believe? And that dominates the area. Get to see some detail from here. Ornate windows. Odd looking tanks on the wall. Various openings and apertures. Wonderful. From here you can tell by the bricks the various bits and pieces and add-ons. Sadly in need of a bit of TLC. And if you look over there, you see that in the brickwork? And the office buildings there, imposing in themselves. Beautiful. Care with detail, wasn't it? Explain the business to a casual observer. And then just below that, what looks like a loading door set quite high up. Lovely detail there. Built with pride, you'd think. No longer in the best of condition. And if you looked at the roof there, you'd have to say its days are numbered. Pity for such a fine old structure, really. Fine old building. I was just looking at the foundations of the old mill there. They don't look in the best of condition. How much weight must they be carrying? Quite substantial, you'd think, wouldn't you? I'm assuming the mill was water driven. It's not just here because of its proximity to the Avon. And if you look down at water level then, you find a bricked up arch, which must be the outlet into the Avon, I would think. Not quite sure where the inlet is. Well, we'll leave the Avon now, wandering off down there. We'll continue along the canal. Pause to read. A lovely old bridge to go with everything else. Decorative. Been worked on once or twice. Poor old bridge looking a bit sad from this angle. Well, I don't know if that's construction or destruction. This pipework's quite fascinating. It starts off at the main mill and jumps across and into the admin building. Said it probably was more than an admin building then. And the canal carries on up there. And on its loading dock there, you would think, at one time. Well, I'm happy that we found the water outlet. I can't see an inlet. This is hiding under there somewhere. It's been let go, isn't it? Okay, we'll follow the canal come Leat. Up this way then. Doing a good trade today. I'm guessing from the ducks under the bridge, that's where they normally get fed. Well, we'll pop across. I think they're getting fed. That's where we're headed, towards the Abbey. A riverside walk. There's the ham on our right. Nothing very old left here now, I'm afraid. They're waiting for something. That's looking a bit older, isn't it? A bit nautical. There have been businesses all the way down here. When you see the extent of the ham, it's very hard to imagine it under a considerable amount of water, 10 feet deep or so. Where does it all come from? The ancient and more original end of the canal. That's the main mill with its weir. Old buildings here have seen a bit of life, you imagine. Abbey in the background, I've done a film on that. Search the channel. Heck of a pigeon loft. Controls the weir, you'd think. Weir sounds a bit muted from here, thank goodness. Another pause to read. Close there. There are actually the remains of a water wheel. Looking at one sluice. One there on the right. Marvellous. There it is. These just got wooden paddle wheels. Just make out the entrance through there. With the roar of the mill in the background. Setting a beautiful area. The old buildings everywhere. Some Abbey connections, you've got to imagine. Beautiful spots. With the Abbey as a backdrop. Lovely. If you enjoyed this, go to my channel, have a search. I've got a film on the Abbey and also the railway. Give it a go. Catch you on the next one.